Hey, girlfriend. Ever played with someone who just drains the whole vibe of the group? One bad apple can mess with your focus, energy, and even your score. In this episode, we're talking about how negativity shows up on the course, why it spreads like wildfire, and what you can do to protect your game and your sanity when you're stuck playing with a negative Nelly. All right, let's get to it. Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par. Let's get to it. Hello, my golf friend. Welcome back to Think Above Par. If you're listening to this in live time, it's Christmas Eve. So I wish you a very Merry Christmas and hope you have a beautiful Christmas Eve. And to all my December birthdays, we have a lot of them in my family and a lot of my friends born in December. I want to wish you a happy birthday. And today I wanted to talk about negativity and being negative and the impact that it can have on you, the people you're around, and your people in your golf group. And as we're going into the holidays, you're going to be around a lot of people, and there's going to be some negative people. And I just want to share with you, because this might be you, but I also want to share with you the impact that negativity can have on a group of people. There's a study called the bad apple effect. And basically it tested the impact of negative people on group performance. So I want to share with you some of the talking points of the bad apple effect. And I want to see if you can recognize different ways that this affects you, whether it's at work, whether it's with your family over the holidays, or whether it's on the golf course, right? Everything is connected because we have one brain. So it doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't mean that golf is different. It doesn't mean that a family party is different, or it doesn't mean your team environment at work or at school is different. I just want you to listen to this and see if you can find maybe some past instances where this has impacted you. Okay. So the first one is that one negative person can lower the performance of the entire group. So teams with one bad apple performed worse than teams with lower skill but better attitudes. Right? So it just means that talent did not offset the negativity. That means that you can go out there and play in a tournament and there's a group that is more talented than you and you're thinking that you can't win. But if you have a better attitude, you can definitely excel if they have one bad apple. It will offset and negatively impact their group more. So the bottom line is that skill doesn't save the team if the emotional tone is off. Right. Another thing is that bad apples, quote unquote, aren't just complainers. They're not just people who are saying, I suck, I'm horrible. It's right. It's not the negative thinker that's pessimistic or cynical or expects failure. It's also the slacker, that person who puts in low effort, who's disengaged, who checks out. Right. It's also the jerk, the person who is selfish and rude and disruptive and emotionally reactive. You don't need all three. One is enough to greatly impact the performance of the whole group. We can for sure run into this when we get together with families over the holidays. It just takes one of those people, maybe not to help and participate in, cleaning up even. They become a slacker when it comes to cleaning up after a party. Or it can be the person who's always putting a negative spin on everything. It just brings down the whole energy of the whole day. The third one is that the damage spreads through emotional contagion. So our emotions are contagious. We feel other people, especially negative ones. So groups unconsciously sync energy, tone, and behavior. And you will notice this too over the holidays or when you have social functions, right? That one person who comes in with so much negative emotion, a lot of people can feel it in the room. I tell my kids and anybody who will listen that you want to be really aware of the energy that you bring into a room. That's your responsibility, in my opinion. If I'm in a bad mood or I'm in a bad place, I usually just don't go hang around people because I know I will bring them down. Until I can shift myself, I try not to do that. But there are a lot of people who just barge into a room with a lot of negative energy and they're not aware of the impact that that makes. It's like an odor that just seeps through the room and takes over everybody. Can you relate to that? Have you known different places where that's happened for you, or have you done it? And the thing is that we're not really aware of the odor that we bring into a room a lot of times because we're so wrapped up in our own emotions. But we for sure know that we're impacted by someone who comes in with a lot of anger, or they're super upset they got caught in traffic and they're late, and they bring all that energy into the house. Right? Everybody feels it. Emotions are contagious. The fourth thing is that negativity has a stronger impact than positivity. So one negative person does more harm than one positive person does good. This is due to our brain's negativity bias, which means that it's always looking for threats and that is greater than rewards, like the positivity, because we're wired for survival. So it's scanning for different threats. So it's going to have a greater impact, that one negative person, that one negative moment, than positive ones would have. The fifth thing is that performance suffers even when tasks are independent. And this is huge for golf. So in other words, you can be playing golf. Everybody has independent tasks within the group, but the performance can suffer when there's one person who is super negative. The study showed that even when people weren't working directly together, the group performance dropped. Focus, effort, and decision-making declined. So yeah, if you get paired with somebody who's a negative Nelly and you didn't want to get paired with them, I get it, right? You're like, crap, this could affect the performance. But I think this awareness is helpful. Like, you get an opportunity to get ahead of it. I think this is people who go through it blindly and don't realize that their performance is dropping because this other person who is negative is in the group. You get to get ahead of this. You might have to work a little bit more to stay positive and control your own emotional state, but awareness is key. This is another thing. Groups rarely confront the bad apple early. What that means is teams often avoid addressing the issue, right? Can you relate to this in your group? You got a jerk in your group and no one wants to say anything to him. And you might never say something to him. You complain about it afterwards, or you might say something on the last couple holes when you finally can't take anymore. But by the time that you do, the damage is already done. Right? Technically, ignoring negativity doesn't make it neutral. It just makes it louder, more impactful. Because the longer it's hanging around, the more damage it's doing. The other thing is that the real cost isn't just performance, it's cognitive load. So people spend mental energy manning emotions instead of doing the task. So you're on the golf course and you've got a person who's a pain in the butt. You're working really hard to manage your mind around this other person instead of focusing on your own golf game, right? You have less clarity, more tension, worse decision making. You end up feeling like you're babysitting your own brain because of this person who's in the group. There's nothing wrong with you. There's studies on this. And I want to share this with you because I also think that you can be your own bad apple. You can, by the dialogue that you have in your head, even though you might not be saying it out loud, you might be thinking negative thoughts about yourself, about other people. And those emotions are in you and they're contagious. People can feel that. That can impact other people. Now, you may or may not care that you're impacting other people, but the flip side of that, those other people, when they're having negative emotions inside themselves, even though they might not say anything, you can hear them grunting or groaning or, slamming a club a little bit or pouting. You feel that energy. You feel that negativity. And that's going to impact you. And you, if you're negative, are going to impact other people. But besides that, you're going to impact your own performance. You become your own bad apple. This is just some things to think about as you go into the holidays, as you start playing in some groups and noticing the negativity, and to start noticing your own negativity. There are actually studies that prove that your performance goes down, that the group's performance goes down, and that emotions are contagious. And so I encourage you to be really aware of the emotion, the odor that you're bringing into a room, because people are going to feel that. And I know you can find examples of where you felt it from other people. All right, my friends, there's nothing that we can do, especially when we bring families together over the holidays. It's inevitable that there's going to be somebody who is going to bring in some negativity, but you get to manage your mind around it. You get to notice the impact that it's having on other people. And then you get to be the person and the light that starts showing this to other people so that they can reduce their negative impact on others as well. All right, my friends, look out for those bad apples. And hopefully you're not one of them. Have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye. And by the way, come join me at yourmentalcaddy.com so we can talk about this and other subjects to help you perform your best. You can go to yourmentalcaddy.com. I'd love to see you there.